Movie reviews. The King of Staten Island is the latest film directed by Judd Apatow. It stars Pete Davidson, and it's being called a semi-biographical film on his life. So basically, if you know Pete Davidson, you probably know one of three things about him. First, that he is on SNL. Second, that he was engaged to Ariana Grande. And third, that his dad died in 9/11. This guy constantly has stand-up bits about his dad dying in 9/11, and he talks all the time about that's how the way he processes it, through humor. And this movie shows a completely different side of that. Plot on IMDb reads, Scott has been a case of Arrested Development since his firefighter dad died. He spends his days smoking weed and dreaming of being a tattoo artist until events force him to grapple with his grief and take his first steps forward in life. So the best way that this movie can be described is that it is a Judd Apatow movie. And the way that he cast his movie, it's almost like he gives these projects for people that he wants to see do well in life. Whether it's Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, Amy Schumer, Pete Davidson in a way is his next project. And whether or not we can see Pete Davidson being a leading man in many more comedy movies, he at least does a very fantastic job in this one. And now there's something to be said about being able to portray yourself. Like, most people probably wouldn't think that's a difficult task, so naturally it makes sense that he was good at it, but I don't really see this being an easy thing to do. This movie does take a lot of liberties, and in this movie specifically, Scott, played by Pete Davidson, his dad didn't die in 9/11. It was just a fire at a hotel. So there are a lot of liberties from the actual story of his life that this movie takes, but it still deals with a heavy subject matter that you can tell is close to Pete Davidson's heart. This movie touches on his depression and his mental health, his drug use, his just not really having much motivation to do anything in life. And while you're watching this movie, I will say there are times where I wish it wasn't so on the nose. Like, part of me wishes that this movie could have been done in a way that wasn't exactly the same as Pete Davidson's life, but more of an analogy of what he's going through. This movie's also cast with other people that you are bound to recognize. I will say Bill Burr just steals the show, and he does, I would say, Oscar-nominated work within this movie. Like, no joke, this mustache alone is just one of the most well-acted things I've ever seen. Stylistically, there's nothing about this movie that's going to jump out to you immediately. The cinematography is very simple and to the point, but it's this really pure, just coming-of-age movie. Except instead of like a normal high school movie that we usually see with these types of films, it's being done about a 24-year-old guy who still lives with his mom. And while this movie didn't directly relate to me as me understanding what this character was going through, it tells the story and makes you relate to him in some way of feeling this just lack of purpose in life and not really sure what to do next. To be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure how many people are actually going to relate to this story. While watching this movie, you know at least Pete Davidson does, and that alone, I think, is worth this movie being made. This movie exists for his story to be told, and that's what happened. I think Judd Apatow did an amazing piece of work in showing that. We see this glimpse, just this very small glimpse of Staten Island. And the location of this movie alone plays a major part in this whole story. It's not just part of the title, but it's really this unique presence that you get to learn more about. Because people don't talk about Staten Island a lot, and they even reference that in the movie, how it needs to be this place like Brooklyn or Manhattan, and they want Staten Island to be on the map. I feel like another very obvious complaint about this movie, and this just goes with a lot of Judd Apatow movies, but it is about, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes too long. But as I thought about it for the past 24 hours, there are just very specific scenes that stick out to me and lines that seemed very simple at the time, but actually I think I'm going to carry with me through many more months of processing what I just watched. I can't tell if it's just my lack of movies, but this genuinely is one of the best ones I've seen in a while. I don't know if I can fully get behind telling you to spend $20 on it. Maybe wait till it's cheaper, and there's really no other option to watch at this point. But I'm going to end with giving this movie an 82 out of 100. 4.5 out of 5 stars if you follow me on Letterboxd, and you should. That's it, The King of Staten Island. What did you think? Comment below, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next time.